Howdy everyone. I am now beginning to work on the hinges that mount to the individual main cabin floors that the seat backs attach to. So the first thing that you do, of course, after you've looked over the plans and read the instructions, you cut your hinge to shape or to length. So these are 15.5 inches in length overall, and you want to make sure that you have a full hinge lug at each end for all 6 total pieces, 3 for each seat. And then you remove the center 2 lugs here. Once you have that established, when you look at the plans, it could be a little confusing. There's a lot of information here. This is the print. You can see the individual hinge pieces here. And there's a lot of measurements. There are a lot of written notes. But basically what happens is this. The aftmost hinge is the special hinge. The aftmost hinge incorporates the hole locations that are already in the floor piece. You also use those existing holes in this rear hinge only. And when you look, they give dimensions from the edge of the seat floor to the edge of the hinge is 7/8 inch. And that's for all of the hinges. So basically all I had done was mark a line here, 7/8 of an inch from the edge. This is the rearmost hinge. The plans also show that this first hole is a 1/4 inch inboard from the edge of the hinge on center of the hinge leaf. So you draw your center line down the length of the hinge, you measure over a 1/4 inch, drill a hole, cleco to that hole, or I'm sorry, forget all that. It's this hole here. So you line your hinge up with your line here, and then you've got this row of holes already in the floor skin. You have your center line drawn, the length of the hinge, and then you mark, using the skin as a template, you mark this hole. Then you can drill that hole and cleco it, and then you can mark this hole here that's already pre-punched in the skin, and this hole here that's already pre-punched in the skin. Once you have those located, then you can come back and looking at the instructions, you could measure off these other holes here. This is the only hinge piece that utilizes the existing holes that are in the skin of the floor. The other hinges fall in between the holes, so you don't get to utilize them. So this is the only special piece. You'll want 2 of these, 1 for each floor skin, left and right. And then the rest, these other 4 pieces, these will all be identical, but they will not have the holes that match the existing holes in the floor skin. So I think what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to make a duplicate of it on one of these. So this will be for the other side. And then I've already marked the holes with these little tick marks. These are the holes that I have to use for the rest of the pieces. You'll note that I did not mark the holes that exist in the skin. So I'm going to duplicate this piece in its entirety for the other side, and then I'll omit the holes that I don't need and use this as a jig and duplicate the other 4. So I'm sure that's clear as mud, but as always, when you look at the plans and you read the instructions and work through it, it will make sense. So I'm going to go ahead and knock out the rest of these hinges. All right, so back here at the airplane, you can obviously tell that I've got both of the rear seat floors now installed. It's a straightforward process. Like I said before, you know, if you look at the plans and they've got the layout for these hinges and they've got the spacing and the orientation, things of that nature. So again, no surprises here. It's just a matter of looking over the plans and trying to decipher exactly what it is they want you to do. Be sure that you remove, let me use this one. Be sure you remove these two center hinge lugs. You have to remove the two in the center on each hinge for each seat. That's just so you can get the hinge pins slid in here from the center going out. Make sure that when you cut your hinges to length that you've got a full lug on the ends here and here. And that's it. From the, again, like I said in my other video, from the edge you just measure over 7/8 and then you lay down your, I believe the hinges are 15.5 inches. And of course you want them perpendicular to the edge. You want each hinge to be 90 degrees to the edge. And then you make sure you've got your spacing from hinge to hinge correct. The rearmost hinge, the aftmost hinge, it's the only hinge that makes use of the existing rib holes. So you lay this rib in first and you use the holes in the skin as a guide. And then after you have this one in place, you measure off of it to get your spacing for these. And then the rest of it is pop rivets. Of course, you have to put in your nut plates along the edge here, and the nut plates get riveted to the floor and to the underlying rib. Now, I had installed these nut plates when I made these individual floor ribs. So when I did the floor ribs, I did the cutouts up here for the stick access, and then I went ahead and did all the nut plates. So all I had to do, or not the nut plates, not down here, but I had already had everything drilled and dimpled. I only installed the nut plates up here. So all of that needs to be done. After you get everything ready to roll, you have to make sure you get your nut plates installed. And then it's just pop rivets after that. So those are now in and complete. So next step are the forward floor skins, which go here. There's a small center console you have to fabricate first, and then you put your floors in, and then you can put that console in. Of course, you don't see my sticks in as of yet. I don't know that I'm going to put them in yet. The floors obviously are removable, so I think I'll go ahead and fabricate the console tunnel area thing that goes here. And I think I'll put the floors in. Of course, these just get held down with screws, so I think I'll go ahead and put them in. But of course, they have to come out anyway because you have to do work in here with your control system. But I don't think I'm going to put the controls in yet because I believe they'll just be in the way and they're going to flop around and beat themselves to death potentially. So I think I'm going to wait on that. But we'll see. Let me get started on some of this other stuff and we'll see what gives.